Okay, the purpose of this screencast is to organize our questions. Previously, in the A phase, or asking questions phase of the research, you did the question generator. And that looked like this. We came up with a bunch of questions. And you might even have more now that you've been thinking about your topic for beyond just doing this reading. And you're going to place a lot of those questions into an organizer and organize them into different content categories. So, assignment overview. Purpose. The purpose of this exercise is to practice developing a list of questions to guide research. So you're going to use this question organizer to guide your research because you're going to follow these questions and try to find the answers to them. The purpose of this exercise is to organize the questions into categories sorted by content. So you're going to take all those questions that are kind of all over the place and you're going to sort them and place them into content groups. Finally, the purpose of this exercise is to help students better comprehend the text they are reading. One of the best strategies for going into reading online texts is having a plan of attack before you go into reading. So by knowing what questions you need to have answered, you will know what kind of websites you need to find, what keyword searches you need to use, whether a website is a good one or a poor one for your situation, etc. So it really sets the tone. So learnings. Students will be able to generate an organized list of questions to guide their research. Directions. Students will watch a screencast of a think aloud of their teacher using the question organizer. So you're going to watch me do that today, or right now. You are watching it. Create a list of all their questions. So you're going to create a list of all your questions, and you're creating that list on this Google Doc, which you will access through Google Classroom. And I'm going to show you I'll get you through parts of this so you can see how it works. And finally, after you make that complete list of questions, which you're going to do in this box, the questions box, then you're going to organize the questions into content groups, which you do down here. So this takes me to the question organizer. So Minnesota interviews, question organizer, and my topic is Dred Scott. So you're going to put your topic there. And I got a bunch of questions about Dred Scott, right, that I want to have answered. So, when was Scott born? Where was Scott born? What was his life like as an enslaved person? How did his case spark the abolitionist movement in Minnesota? How did his court case bring the U.S. closer to civil war? Why did his last owner liberate him? That's Mr. Blow. What was the motivation there? I want to find out more about that. Were his children enslaved? How did Scott earn money, or I should say, how did Scott earn enough money to feel he had, or to feel he was in a place to purchase his family's freedom. I want to know it. So you're going to create a list even bigger than this, and you're really looking to make about 25 to 30 questions that you want to have answered. Once you have these, you need to start organizing them. So the next phase is, and we help you a little bit here, is, so you've listed all your questions from the question generator. Now, use the little questions column to organize the list of questions above into 5 distinct categories. So you have 5 distinct categories. Here's your little questions over here. And so that's where these questions up here are going to go. I'm just going to copy paste them. Then you have the big questions. And we give you categories. Big question number 1 has to do with early life. Big question number 2, accomplishments or major event that the person or topic was involved in. Big question number 3, connection to Minnesota. Big question number 4, the times in which he lived. Big question number 5 is Dred Scott's, or your topic's impact, Dred Scott in my case. So now I'm going to go back to my questions. And when was Scott born? I'm going to copy it. That really is early life, right? So that would go here. And I go back up. And where was Scott born? Well, that's also early life. Next question is, what was his life like as an enslaved person? Well, that really kind of covers his entire life, but I want to put that more into early life because it doesn't really fit well in the other topic groups. How did his case spark the abolitionist movement in Minnesota? Well, that will fill probably 2 spots. Number 1, that could be in here. It could also be connection to Minnesota. Okay. How did his court case bring the U.S. closer to war? There's impacts, right? So that's going to go down here to impact. And as you go through these, I've already kind of reached this point where I'm starting to kind of lose track of where I am. So you can just change the color. So maybe ones that are done, I'll just make them green. Right? Why did his last owner liberate him? Mr. Blow. So that could be maybe major event, or it could be actually times, well, I'm going to say that might be impact. Because that he gets freed, that's after his court case. Where were his children enslaved? I'm going to say that that's probably the times in which he lived. And I definitely see I need to know more about that, so I need to ask some more questions. How did he earn money in order to purchase his freedom? This could be the actual event, because it's kind of what starts the court case itself. So you see I've taken all these questions now, and you're going to have much more than me, and I've put them into these content categories. When it's all said and done, you want to have about maybe 5 or 6 in each one of these groupings. But now I have the task of organizing, or giving a big question here. So when was Scott born? Where was he born? And what was life like as an enslaved person? Kind of seeing that this all has to do with slavery. So was the life of an enslaved person like? That's a big question that all these little ones will answer. Next one, I don't really have enough there, but this one I might. For the Minnesota one, said his connection to Minnesota. For his connection to Minnesota, where in Minnesota did he live? Okay, so we have connection to Minnesota. It might be, how did the case impact politics in MN? Right? Because it changed the abolitionist movement, and it sounds like there was a lot of kind of the abolitionist movement began to really grow after that court case. This one I definitely got a big question out of for the impact is how did all these little questions are going to lead to how did this court case lead to war? So that is how you complete the question generator.